Bismillah, alhamdulillahi, rabbil alamin, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. We are live. Welcome back to another Muslim Morning podcast. I'm here joined again with our Sheikh, our teacher, Ustadh Mario Tucker. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you doing?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I'm just fiddling with the lights.
No problem.
Is that too much? I think that's too much.
Yeah, it's not bad. You gotta get a background. I'm surprised that you can't. There's no option for a background on your side. No.
The background, I mean. A digital background, that your one?
Yeah.
No, there's no option for that.
It doesn't come.
No
Okay,
option for
no,
that.
no problem. Let's just dive in, brother. Okay, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just fiddling with lights. I shouldn't be. Focus on the task at hand.
Yes.
There we
Okay, the task, brother.
There we go.
Obviously, this issue with the Salman Rushdie thing has just come up. Unfortunately, the attack on Salman Rushdie, and that whole situation. So it kind of brings up the issue of freedom of speech. On one side, you have people saying that there should be unrestricted freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want to whoever you want. You have the right to be offended, but you cannot restrict what I want to say about anybody. Is that practical? Is that realistic? I mean, can you grow up with a mentality that I can say whatever I want to say and I can waive freedom of speech to anyone and they can say, okay, fine. Then you have the issue of should we respect people's beliefs, people's way of life, just as a default? Like, okay, I don't agree with what you're doing. I want to question what you're doing, but I understand there's a line, isn't it? There's a natural line that, well, okay, if I'm going to offend you, I'm just not going to say it. Isn't that part of humanity? That, okay, I disagree with what you're doing, but that doesn't mean I'm going to take the mick out of you. Is it?
Yeah.
Or should we say, oh well, no, nothing is off the table. I should be able to criticize you, abuse you, and say, well, you got a right to be offended, and just wave freedom of speech in your face, and you should say, okay, you should swallow your emotions. And then we're going to get onto the issue of, issue of religion and what the Sharia says and what Islam says. But just that default position of, is freedom of speech a reality? What is the reality of freedom of speech on a day to day?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. I mean, I think the whole topic is it's not really well defined because a lot of what we.
I mean, the reason why I'm coming from that angle is that when such a thing happens in life, the incident with Salman Rushdie and stuff, we're told that people should be able to say whatever they want to say about anybody under the guise of freedom of speech. But then we live in a certain reality where I can't go certain places and say what I want to say. Otherwise, I'm going to get smacked up. What is the reality of this ban on freedom of speech? We can criticize something, but does freedom of speech really exist in reality? Like for us, day to day, I know I can't go certain places and say certain things, and I just live with it and accept it. But there's a certain society that believes that freedom of speech is unlimited. I think, well, where are you living? What universe are you living? Because that's not my reality.
I mean, the thing is, the reason why this subject's not really well defined, as far as I'm concerned, is because a lot of what we consume in terms of this topic, in the UK, sorry, in what we're consuming this topic in the UK is not even applicable to us. Meaning, a lot of the discussion of freedom of speech and the right to say what one likes, a lot of these discussions are actually American orientated, as into their constitution and that kind of stuff. It's not actually in UK law, such a thing, as in there isn't freedom of speech in the UK. You can get in trouble for saying a lot of things in UK by UK law. So a lot of us maybe wave this banner, not realizing that it's not even applicable in the UK. And even on top of that, the ability, the freedom to say what you like, doesn't necessarily exclude you from the consequences, which I think is another misunderstanding, as we saw just the other day with Johnny Depp and his
Yeah.
ex-wife Amber Heard. So she, near the end of her case, one of the things that she was trying to play on was that there's freedom of speech in America. We can say what I like. She wrote her op-ed, and she's free to say what she likes in the op-ed. But then
Okay.
she got fined $10 million plus for defamation. So she was free to say that, but she
Yes.
had to bear the consequences of defaming someone
Mm.
and telling lies about someone. So
Okay, that's an
it's not so
interesting point.
straightforward. It's not so straightforward that people say freedom of speech, and I think with Muslims, when we look at this topic, we have to look at it from two. We have to first acknowledge a few things.
Mm.
The first one is that this isn't our balad, this isn't our land.
Mm.
So what they want to do in their law, it is what they want to do in their law, and there's not much we can do about it. I mean, we can discuss as Muslims what should happen in our own lands or in our
Yes.
own system,
Yes.
but to be honest, you know, we don't really have a say in their lands, because I mean, sorry, we don't have a say. We can't really demand something as a right, because it's not. We don't have our own or sultan or authority in the land. We can claim, we can rally, we can do what we like. We can even
Yes.
put forward our case. We put
Yes.
forward our Islamic case, which is what we should focus on discussing, the Islamic case for or against it.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of what actually happens, they do what they need to do, and they do whatever they want to do. And I think that's something that Muslims need to recognize when it comes to looking at countries,
Mm-hmm.
Muslim countries, non-Muslim countries, is at some level we're limited, and at some level
Yes.
there would be, I guess you would say, a bit of double standards. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean it as a reflection of reality. So back to the issue
Yes.
of freedom of speech. So obviously, it's from the Islamic case, from the Islamic perspective,
Mm-hmm.
in an Islamic framework or law system, you wouldn't be free to say what you liked.
Yes.
And it even includes cursing off the religion of the non-Muslims, which probably deserves to be spoken ill of, but we're not allowed to curse their gods, as Allah said in the Quran, so that they don't curse Allah without any knowledge. So
Yes.
just like we're not allowed to curse other people's mothers, so they will end up cursing our mothers. We caused the sub or the cursing of our own mother. Likewise, we can cause the cursing of Allah by cursing their religion. So as Muslims, we're not allowed to do those kind of things and speak ill of their religion in that fashion. But at the same time, if a non-Muslim in a Muslim country was to sit down with a Muslim in a Muslim country and they were to discuss religion, and the Muslim was to invite him to Islam and whatnot, no doubt that non-Muslim may want to express himself so that he can get his doubts answered, so he can get his shubahat addressed. And it's not, no one will ever say, well, listen to my da'wah, but don't say anything bad against Islam, otherwise X, Y, and Z. No, I mean, there is a context for whereby they can have a conversation.
Yes.
And he would raise his concerns and whatnot. But what is not allowed is just the blatant defamation or blatant speaking ill of certain things, of certain people, certain institutions, and also of Islam or religions as a whole, actually. So there is some nuance to it in terms of the issue of freedom of speech. I mean, I could clearly see why some Muslims may feel that we should be free to speak our minds.
Yes.
Because when you speak, you can convey your views and we can learn from each other and whatnot. And I don't think Islam, from what I've seen in all these years of study, I don't see Islam actually negates the opportunity, but it does put it in certain majal, certain framework or certain situation. Again, like I said, if it's a debate, a discussion between Muslims and non-Muslims, where we come together and we try and invite them to Islam, obviously in such a framework, such a situation, then one could understand them saying certain things or voicing certain opinions, but that's a far cry from slander and saying bad words and all the rest of it, which is what I think what people kind of mean sometimes when they refer to freedom of speech, the freedom to insult. I think I've even heard that as well, the freedom to insult.
That's right.
That doesn't, there is no majal, there is no avenue for that in Islamic framework. You can't insult anyone or their way or their thing. You can't do that. That's not how it works.
But I mean, this is you could say, what the secularists are pushing. That yes, we should have the ability to. I mean, everyone can criticize and have a different opinion and disagree and say this is right, this is wrong. But when the secularists come and say, okay, we have a right to abuse, and they say, well, you have a right to be offended. I mean, is that only for certain people on certain topics? Because we know we can't abuse the Jews. We know that's just off the table. Do you get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Why are certain people
Protected.
protected and others not? So and you know, you point out, well, we are, as Muslims, we have a different uh, um, set of laws that we believe in, but still living in the UK, we still have that right to say, well, okay, that's a blatant contradiction from yourselves, and you know that needs to be exposed, that needs to be spoken about. I don't think that we should be shy about that.
That's the thing. I mean, contradiction
Mm,
is the asl. That's the general rule for their system. That so it's not like. So this is the thing. I think what I think. I mean, this is my personal opinion, and obviously no one
mm,
has to take it. But I just
mm,
feel that sometimes Muslims seem to think that they can somehow achieve the ideals of Islam
mm-hmm,
within their framework, and I think that's just not possible. The whole
mm,
basis of their system is false and
mm-hmm,
and and all over the place. So you can try to get certain things, I guess. No harm trying,
mm-hmm.
but don't be surprised if it doesn't go that way, or if they come up with absolute madness and stupidity. I mean,
Yes,
so that's what I'm saying. For me, it's just like if they say, "Oh, we have the right to insult," and that's against Islam.
yes.
I just look at them and say,
I,
"Okay,
I
whatever,
can
man."
see, you're not surprised. I can see you're not like, well, yeah, well, this is gonna happen. Like, what else do you expect from people who
Yeah,
don't believe, or don't have anything which they see as being, they don't sanctify anything. It's just
I
all
mean, look at this.
material.
It's like this issue of the monkeypox the other day.
Yes.
So it was quite clear earlier on
Mm-hmm.
who was the main target, you could say, or the people who were suffering the most from monkeypox. But
Yes.
yet, media were trying to protect that group, as if to say,
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know what, as if to say that the knowledge of why and how it was spreading needs to be suppressed.
Okay.
But when I look at that, I just kind of like smile and get on with life, because the hypocrisy is always going to be there. And there's no
Mm.
point like saying, "Oh, how could they?" And this is not right. And if it was Muslims, and if it's, well, I mean, that's what they're gonna do. I mean, so maybe I'm just too used to it. Maybe I've become desensitized to the
Yes.
nonsense. But it's expected to be nonsense and to receive nonsense from them, and that's just how it is. I mean,
Mm.
even like I said, I think right now the funniest thing actually with this whole freedom of speech discussion is that
Mm-hmm.
just we're seeing more and more and more how that is just not only is not practical, not
Mm.
even they implement it. Look how many times. I mean, just isn't it just the other day Andrew Tate got taken off of social media essentially?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I mean, well, we
Where
could
does that
we could
where does
say
that
they have
come
freedom of
from?
speech.
Yeah, was that a moral decision that these social media platforms they took that we call it that step to stop the evil of Andrew Tate, or was it the fact that, oh, it's a very touchy subject to speak about women right now? Are we just in a period where we shouldn't discuss about the role of men vis-a-vis women? That's a touchy subject. Why
That's the
did they
thing.
step into this particular
That's the
issue
thing.
now?
The why is irrelevant. The fact is,
Mm,
they demonstrated, as they always demonstrate over and over again,
yes.
that some things can't be said all the time. And
Mm,
that is the whole that's literally the whole discussion. Freedom, they would say their counter argument is, I'm not stopping you from saying what you want to say, just don't say it on my private platform.
yes.
But the point is, what makes your private platform sanctimount, and outside of it, okay. The point is,
Yes.
what made that distinction that this is? So my point is like, if you feel that that speech is inappropriate for your own domain,
Yes.
you've acknowledged internally that certain things can't be said under certain domains.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes, yes.
so the idea of saying freedom of speech, I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to go down that route, yeah, even Islam agrees to that. You can say whatever you want in a closed room with all the doors locked, all the windows shut, and no one can hear you but yourself. You can say whatever you like.
Yeah. So okay, that's where freedom of speech
Yeah, so
exists.
everyone agrees, and you can do that and say that. I mean, everyone can do that.
Yes.
Even non-Muslims who are citizens of Muslim countries who live underneath Sharia
Y-
from Ahl al-Dhimma. Yeah,
Yes. Freedom of speech,
go in the
freedom of
bathroom,
speech exists only exists in that scenario with you in a room by yourself talking to yourself.
yeah, talk to yourself, or maybe you talking to your wife and no one can hear but you and your wife, or go into the bathroom and talk to yourself in the mirror. Yeah, so I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you want to say, the
Yes.
point is, the fact of the matter is, the
Mm.
Islamic framework is saying is that nothing or no one can stop a person from saying something. There isn't something you can do realistically to stop a person from saying something.
Yes.
However, if you say something to someone else,
Mm-hmm.
and that can have an impact on that individual or other people, and that can have an
Mm.
impact on other people or to society, and that can have an impact on society, then Islam or the state can step in and say, well, actually, hold up, you can't say that. And that's what
Yes.
we're seeing. We're seeing here that they are stepping in and saying, well, actually, you can't
Yes.
say that on our platform. You can't say that in this framework. You can't say it in that scenario. And that's what everyone says. So
Yes.
it's a nice as a slogan. Yeah, we have freedom of speech. You can say what you like. Yeah, it's all nice as a slogan. But
Reality doesn't exist.
in reality, it doesn't really exist. I mean, even for example, I mean, I have to, but on a flip side,
Mm.
I think what people mean when they say freedom of speech, I think they mean different things. So
Mm.
if you're talking about freedom of speech, comparing Western countries to Muslim countries,
Yes.
generally speaking, they're not talking about freedom of speech. They're talking about the freedom to criticize government or the freedom to criticize Islam, not
Mm.
freedom of speech per se. Because even in those same countries who they criticize the government for not allowing the people in the government in their land to say what they like,
Mm.
they wouldn't really stop them or criticize them or the government from stopping their people criticizing the West or criticizing Western values or having anti-American sentiment. So you get what I'm
Yes.
saying? So it's just a hypocritical tool used for a
Yes.
political agenda. I mean, if the government
Mm.
of Iran decided to clamp down on anti-American sentiment and stop anti-American propaganda,
Mm.
America would say nothing about that. They were like, yeah, cool.
Yes. Mm. Mm.
That's
Mm.
it.
Mm.
That's a fact. They wouldn't say, oh no, this is wrong, blah blah. But no, they'll say they will just not say anything. They'll just turn a blind eye because it fits their agenda.
Yes.
That's what it is. But if it's the other way around, if it comes to the idea where Iran, the same Iran, is preventing Christian missionaries going to Iran and converting the Shia there to Christianity and not allowing
Mm.
the Bible in there, not allowing churches in built, then they say, oh, you can't do this, and oh,
Yes.
this is. See, I'm saying
This is oppression.
it's,
Yeah.
it's just a ploy. It's just a plus. I'm saying this is why for me, I'm not. I might seem cynical. Maybe I'm getting old because it's had little grace coming here. Maybe I'm getting old. But
Cynical. Yes.
it's just yeah, cynical. Maybe I just don't pay them any mind. Basically, it's like okay,
Mm. You're not
whatever.
surprised. You're not
No,
perturbed by it. It's like, yeah, that's just normal. Like that's what they do. Um, but shouldn't there also be still a kickback? Like, no, that's wrong. Should we still not point out the contradictions um vigorously? Do you get what I'm saying? To because
see, this is the
where it
problem.
comes down is what it comes down to is like who has the right to determine um what's extreme, what's fundamental, what goes too far. We can't say, okay, fine, we live in a secular country, secular, or is it a Christian country? Who knows? They're a bit
Hmm.
confused.
Hmm.
Is the Queen head of Christianity or what? I don't know. Um, and this is where I want to flow on to the point of what is extreme, what's fundamental, what's okay, what's not okay.
I mean, this is the problem we have when it comes to this topic of freedom of speech and our
Mm,
role in enforcing, quote unquote, their principles on themselves, is
mm,
that inherently we become hypocrites
mm-hmm,
in a way Because if both us, the Muslims, and them, the non-Muslims in their land, acknowledge at some level that there is no freedom of speech, not really.
Yes.
There has to be some kind of limitation on what can be said. If that's acknowledged
Yes.
at some point, then the problem now is, okay, so then what speech is censored? Because in a way, we would like to rally for freedom of speech so that we can say what we like, but at the same time,
Yes.
we don't want freedom of speech when they want to say what they want to like about us. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a point of reality. So, for example, a Muslim could say, "Yeah, look at the hypocrisy. We should have freedom of speech, and you guys say you have freedom of speech, and I can't say I want blah 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 because no freedom of speech. I get my YouTube channel gets banned, my podcast gets taken down, my this, my that. What kind of freedom of speech is this?" But at the same time, when you have them making or saying all this stuff about Islam, we don't want to hear that either. So
but the line, as I said, our line is, you can disagree, you can criticize, but you can't abuse. And I think that should be the line, the red line, because obviously people are going to
hold
question
on. When you say
Islam.
they can criticize, what do you mean by they can criticize?
I mean, they may disagree with who Prophet Muhammad is. They may question his
See, the
prophethood.
questioning is not the same as criticizing. That's the see the difference. There is a nuance between the
Okay.
difference. So, for example, and again, this is what I'm saying, where there's a conflict we would have as
Yes.
Muslims in addressing this topic
Mm-hmm.
from the framework of our lands and our perspective, and the framework of their lands and their perspective. We may actually, and also Muslims may actually rally and try and get certain rights in Western countries that we acknowledge we would not be given if it was in our countries to them. And this is the reality that we have to kind of deal with. So, for
But
example,
go
the
on.
freedom to criticize a religion.
Yes.
I mean, we openly give dawah on thing. We talk about highlight the faults and stuff of Christianity and the rest of it.
Yes.
On YouTube, on Hyde Park and the rest of it. But you reckon that and they could do that in Saudi Arabia? To
They
Islam?
can't. Okay,
They
this is the
can't.
this is the, okay.
But
This
that's the
is
thing, and we
I
want it
think
that way. That's the whole point. That's the joke. That's what I'm saying. That this is the thing, and this is what I'm saying. It's an uncanny valley to traverse because there is inherent hypocrisy. Same thing. Another example. We would love to build masajids everywhere in London, but nowhere they're building churches in Mecca. And
yes.
that's an internal thing we have to acknowledge that is real. It is there. We can't just play around and say, oh,
Okay.
that is a real thing.
But I'm gonna question your link to our countries, because now we have nation states,
Yeah.
and you or we, does the ummah exist so we can, okay, our countries? Well, we're not really part of those countries, because they say, well, where's your visa, where's your
No, when I say
passport?
our countries, I mean as Muslims
Yes.
living in the West, we may demand certain rights. Yeah.
Yes.
And the reason why we demand those rights is because we acknowledge
Yeah.
fundamentally that Islam is an absolute truth. It's not like a
Yes.
subjective thing. It's not like my opinion. It is the actual truth. And on Yawm al-Qiyamah, we will all be judged, every mankind, man, woman, and children, Muslim, non-Muslim, the rest of it, will all be judged for our actions. Those who are in the camp of Islam will be judged one way. Those in the camp of other than Islam will be judged another way. These are facts.
Yes.
And due to these facts, we act a certain way. Now, from their perspective, so in their framework, we would demand, for example, a masjid in London, for example, because Islam is fundamentally true. And why not spread Islam?
Yes.
Obviously. And Christianity is fundamentally false. And how can you allow that to be spread amongst Muslims?
Yes.
So from that framework, from that perspective, it makes perfect sense. And it does make perfect sense. There's nothing wrong with it. That is what it is. What I'm saying is that as a Muslim, you do tread, you're treading on rice paper in terms of this topic, because, like I said, we may be demanding things in their land that we all acknowledge we would not be giving them if they were in our lands. So it's just something you have to be aware of.
Yeah.
That go ahead, do what you need to do, take the rights that are given to you. Fair enough. Acknowledge them, be grateful that you're given to it, but understand that these are not fundamental rights given to Muslims. You know what I'm saying? As in, many Muslims take these things to heart. They think, oh yeah, we should have freedom of speech, we should have freedom of this and and then they actually turn their eyes onto the Muslim lands with the same kind of disdain and view, and that's actually wrong. As in, you can't apply the rules that you think you need to apply in the UK to Muslim lands and say these Muslims are oppressive. I hear it all the time. I'm sure you hear it all the time.
Are we
Muslim
living
lands are oppressive and you can't say what you like and blah blah blah.
Yes.
Bro, you're not supposed to say what you like in Muslim. That's the whole point.
Yes. Okay. So with that, because you could say what you've kind of exposed is the Muslims are living a contradiction. So I remember, I think there was someone from the British National Party. He said, "Oh well, we won't be allowed to build mosques in your country in Saudi Arabia." But I think you're supposed to mean churches. Like, well, we're not allowed to build.
Can't build mosques in Mecca.
In Mecca,
can't build a mosque in Mecca.
Yeah, so you got a bit. You got mixed. But I understand what you say. I understand what you were saying. Yeah, we wouldn't allow them. We wouldn't allow the Christians. Oh no, actually, it's not even me. It's like Saudi Arabian government. I think they have a church now. I'm not sure, but
no.
They wouldn't allow non-Muslims to build churches in Mecca, right? So with that thought, a Muslim here now will say, okay, well, if the British government says we're not building any more mosques, right, under a secular law, because they're not fundamentalist Christians, we should say, well, okay, fine, that's fine, that's okay, but we're holding them to account to their own law, or we're not holding them to the Sharia law. We're holding them to your law. Says, well, okay, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of thought. Why is it now you are now what's what I'm looking for? Being not racist. What's what I'm looking for? Treating the Muslims differently from any other way of life. Do you get what I'm saying? So are we really living that? Is it really are we actually contradicting ourselves, or we're just saying, well, okay, we're holding you to your own standard? I mean, we're not saying, well, okay, we're going to hold you to the standard of the Sharia. And we say, well, okay, well, if that's your mindset that Christianity is the ultimate truth, I don't understand why you're not allowing mosques to be built in the UK. But that's not their situation. They don't believe in the ultimate truth. They're saying, well, everyone has their rights to do what they want to do.
I think that's why I don't see the contradiction. If I was to summarize my point, I think my point is basically saying that while Muslims living in the Muslim lands, they definitely can take advantage of certain privileges that they have given them, certain rights that they have been given, whilst understanding that sometimes these things we take advantage of may not inherently be something we agree with anyway. It's just something we take advantage of. I guess it's like so I mean, and this is a bad example, but it's a bad example. I'm making a disclaimer right now. It's a bad example. Okay. It's not something that Islam condones, but it's just an example.
Just an example.
Like, it's like at work, and you finish work at 5 o'clock, and the boss has made a rule that once the clock on this wall hits 5, you're free to go. For some reason, the clock is fast, so essentially you can go home a bit early. And you can say to the boss, you know, it's actually 4:30, but your clock says 5, so can I go? So you're not exactly cheating him, saying, you know, but so you're not exactly deceiving him, making him think it's 5 o'clock. You've actually made it clear to him that the clock says 5. You said in the contract, when this clock says 5, I can leave. So can I leave? So you're taking advantage of rights that he's given you. He gave you the right to do that.
Yes.
Whilst you also acknowledge internally that you should stay till 5. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Internally, no, you should really stay till 5 because it's not really 5. Although, you know what I'm saying? So, for example, and this again, this is just my opinion. If a Christian, if this government said from tomorrow, okay, there's no more mosques to be built other than what's already been built.
Yes.
I would understand that. I wouldn't like it. I would love more masajid and all the rest of it. But at the same time, it's not as if I can't understand where they're coming from, because if it's in our lands, we're doing the exact same thing. So, you know what I'm saying? So as long as they give us the rights, then there's no harm in taking the rights. But you're treading on fine ground. When it comes to what they give you, especially when it comes to Muslims taking those values to heart. This is my point. You're taking these values to heart, so you're rallying behind them. You're asking them to stick to their word, but understand that it's it's only because they've given those rights, not because those rights are actually correct.
Yes.
Like I said, my point I'm trying to get at really and truly is that too often I see Muslims turn their lenses against the Muslimin or even Islam with these principles that they've rallied against, with these things. And we see this, for example, like what's her name? That woman in America, that one who's rallying for abortion and LGBT rights, one Sarah Salsolo or something like that.
Oh yes,
Who
Palestinian
Yasser
sister, I think.
Qadhi is supports and whatnot in whatever way he does. So that's an example of taking these rights to heart, and has now gone to the level of actually rallying for gay marriage, rallying for abortion, rallying for things that are clearly against Islam, because their argument is we're fighting for Muslim rights. So in their minds, here's the caveat, here's the catch.
Yes.
In their minds, if we rally for the freedoms of homosexuals and their freedom to live their lives the way they want to,
yes,
by definition, that would impart on Muslims allowing us to live our lives and do what we want to do. So that's their justification.
Yes.
But like I said, they've taken it to heart. They've gone to the next level by actually internalizing these things, going to their rallies, dancing with their drag queens and whatnot.
Yes.
And they've gone beyond just taking advantage of the fact the clock says is wrong. So now saying, actually, that's the real time. That's actually the right time. It's not that the clock is fast. That is really 5 o'clock, and my watch on my hand is actually wrong. And this is what I'm saying, that people Muslims need to understand that there's an uncanny valley. Take advantage of the rules as long as you have not breaking their rules, but it doesn't mean you are believing and internalizing their rules as though those rules are truth.
Yes. They are breaking the rules that they actually believe in order to get this rule in this would you call it the right for minorities. So for example, if we support the right of other minorities, even though we believe that those other minorities are not permissible, we're going to support them, these impermissible acts and whatever, in order to get our own right, which is hypocrisy. Actually,
I'll give you another example of how I believe
it's kind of it's a bit of
it's like Abdullah Brown. So
who?
the brother Abdullah Brown. So he's one of the Yaqeen Institute authors and whatnot. He's got some works on Islam and slavery. He's got some okay works and so whatnot, and he has some knowledge on hadith and whatnot. But he made a statement a while back about how he defends the right to, I think, insult the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam or something like that.
Oh.
Now, again, he's not saying
insult.
I think the word was insult or something like that. Yeah, but it was something of that manner.
Yes.
But again, what was his context? Again, I'm not trying to malign his words or change his intent. His intent was, if we go on the Islamic Khilafah banter and say no, you can't say this and can't say that, then essentially that would turn back on us and basically allow the non-Muslims to prevent our speech and what we can say and what we can discuss openly. So basically, don't give the far right or whoever that opportunity to shut us down. Actually, let's open the doors by allowing this freedom to say what you like, even if it means including insulting the message of Allah or something of that manner. Because if those doors are wide open, then we as Muslims, by definition, would also enjoin in those rights to do likewise, or to speak freely, or to speak religion. And so basically, if you were to say in our masjid or in our markers that we don't agree with LGBT or their practices or what they do, that's freedom of speech that we just fought for, and now we can say that without being shut down.
Yes,
because we just fought against censorship. But you get my point. So, but now you've gone too far now with that. I understand where you're trying to go with it. I understand what you're trying to achieve by it. But number one, you're achieving it by means which is un-Islamic.
Yes.
And even to suggest that one should have the ability or the ability to say something bad against Messenger of Allah under any context is not allowed at all.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
one of the most serious things actually in Islamic law, to the point whereby there is no forgiveness in this life for it in terms of punishment if in an Islamic state for that. Even if you said no, I'm sorry, sorry, we're sorry, we can't wipe this one away. But to say
Yes.
that we should be able to, it's going too far now. So what I'm saying is, if we was to say in our masajid certain things that goes against European or Western values,
Yes.
and they were to come into our framework or into our arena or area and say, you can't say these things, there's nothing wrong in saying, but wait, according to your rules, you said, or we have freedom in our own congregation to discuss what we like, and these are the rules you have stated. So we're only
Living by your rules. Yeah.
living by your rules. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. But now don't start rallying saying, yeah, actually these are our correct values and we should be and start. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between taking advantage of what's there and now
Yes.
actually going to the next level and teaching to the Muslims that these values. It is there's a contradiction here. There is a contradiction here that people
Yes.
recognize, and we see that manifest, like I said, the likes of Sawa Safsul, something like that, and
Yes.
Ilhan Omar,
Yeah,
all
this
those
year
kind of people,
I
those
think
kind of things.
the brother Omar Suleiman was seen on the gay parade supporting LGP and LGBT
That's another classic
stuff.
example. Yeah, so it was rallying again.
Yes.
That's a classic example. So Umar Suleiman was marching with Christians, rabbis, I guess atheists as well, even a gay uh, priest,
Yes.
and they want to rally for the rights of immigrants at the doors, which is again what they're rallying for makes sense and on some
Yes.
levels is righteous, but what are you doing to achieve that?
Yes.
Now you've gone along with them, marching with them, having them, even the women, holding your hands, doing rituals of pouring water for them and making collective dua. Now you've gone too far
Yes.
because you've taken these values too much to heart, and now you're going full in on
Yes.
something that's now led you to a whole next path. And now on top of that, in their talks, they're praising these people, praising their ways,
Yes.
mention them on stage in respect, although they are rallying for kufr and shirk and dalal. It's you've gone too far now. You've gone too far. There's, like I said, there's one thing taking the rights that they have given you, but there's a
Yes.
completely different thing taking their values to heart, internalizing them, and now supporting them. And and even worse than that, turning
Yes.
your sights to the Muslimin and throwing those ideologies towards the Muslim nations
Oh,
and
saying look
people.
what freedoms we have in the West, we need to have them in the East, kind of thing.
Bro, I hear it so often. People say, "Oh, I can't. If I go to UAE or I go to Qatar, I can't say what I like about the government. I can't
Yes.
say what I like about this. I can't say what I like about it." Bro,
Yes.
show me in which book of fiqh where you can say what you like about anything, bro. Tell me,
Mm.
tell me. Go to the book of slander and the book of buhtan and the book of shahadat zur or face. So I'm
Yes.
just saying these Arabic words. Sorry. Go to the book of slander and false testimonies and all these kind of things and see what happens. Tell me what happens when you call someone a bastard,
Yes.
bro. This is a word we hear all the time in this society.
Yes.
Just that word, bastard, to
Yeah.
someone is qadf,
Or you get
accusing
lashes or
them of,
something.
bro. It's accusing someone of illicit sexual behavior
Yes.
without the four witnesses, which is 80 lashes and your shahada, your testimony rejected just by a statement.
Yes.
So this idea of, oh, I can say what I like. No, you
So,
can't say what
you're
you
saying
like.
in Islamic State, if you swear to someone in the street, that man can take it to take it to a judge, and
No.
you may get
Swearing is
lashes.
one thing. Swearing is
Yes.
one thing, but you remember, bastard means you're
Illegitimate. You're
an
illegitimate.
illegitimate child. So what you're
Yes.
doing is you're accusing his mother of indecent acts with outside of marriage. So
Yes.
that qadh, that accusing of illicit sexual behavior towards his mother
Yes.
is punishable 80 lashes, publicly done.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's literally there's a long list of things you can't do, or can't say, sorry, that comes
Under
actually
Islamic.
with actual physical punishments in Islamic law. So it's not like
Yes.
people Muslims need to really be careful. And I guess you could say, as a summary of this, we were speaking like 40 minutes. As a summary, we need to be really careful what we hear in the West, what we internalize and adopt as beliefs. Not everything that we think is fair and right and blah 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 is actually even Islamic. Even if, listen carefully, even if we benefit from those rules while we live here, that doesn't mean it's correct.
Yes. So are we taking advantage? Is it taking advantage though? Like
No,
I mean, as you said,
no.
if you go back to the BNP guy, the common thing is, well, we can't do this in your country, so why are you wanting this in our country? And we're going to say, well, we want this in our country, the UK or the West, because you say it's our right. Even though at the back of our
Yeah.
mind, we're saying, well, if you was in any country in the Middle East, you wouldn't have a right to build your church in Mecca.
Basically, if you
We
were to
know
be
that.
honest, if they said
Mm,
to you, how is it that we allow you to build mosques in our lands, but we can't
mm,
build churches in your lands? If you
yes,
used to give an honest answer, the answer will simply be because Islam is true and your religion is false.
yes,
And we don't allow falsehood to be spread in our lands.
yes,
And obviously, we will love that truth is spread in your lands. This
yes,
is the honest truth. You might
yes,
find it hypocritical, but that is a fact. Hold on, that is
mm,
not only a fact in absolute fact, but it's also a fact they also agree with.
mm,
They also agree with. If I was to come in to UK and establish a channel like on a mainstream channel like BBC One, Two, whatnot, a
mm,
mainstream channel
mm,
propagating Sharia, teaching the Sharia, and
yes.
how it should be implemented in the UK and the rest of it, no doubt they want to shut that
Shut it
down,
down. Yes,
completely shut it down. On your Sky channel, some obscure corner maybe, but on the mainstream that everyone can access to,
it's
they
not
will want to shut
happening.
down because realistically, what they really mean by freedom of speech is that in areas that they don't care about, in a
Mm,
small pocket in the corner, you do what you like. But in
yes,
areas that we do care about, i.e., our own governance and our own politics, no
mm,
way. That's what
yes,
I had a whole big hoo-ha with that guy about the Sharia councils in UK. They were saying this is the parallel Sharia system. How can
yes,
that? Notice that I didn't say anything about Muslims amongst themselves doing this stuff. They had issue with the Sharia council. So now they
yes.
think they're seeing
Moving
this
into
now. You're bringing
governance.
it. You're moving
Yeah.
into governance. You're moving into their arena again. We can see there isn't. Again, we can see that there isn't really hypocrisy here. Not
Mm,
really. It's just that the arena is different. We would say in this arena there's not freedom of speech, but in maybe this arena there is
there
freedom of
is.
speech. They would say the same thing. In this arena there's freedom of speech, and this one there is a freedom of speech. It's just that the
Yes.
arenas are
Mm,
different.
mm,
So and one thing, even one person made a very good comment, which is when I heard it really touched me. It's like, wow, that's so deep. When the non-Muslims say things like, "You're free to do what you like.
mm,
We're not gonna stop you from pursuing any lifestyle you want," and blah blah blah. What they are really telling you,
mm-hmm,
and this is something it's really powerful. What they're really telling you is that they don't care about you.
mm,
Because if you cared about someone's well-being, you would stop them from harming themselves. But when you say you can do what you like, I don't matter, it doesn't matter,
yes.
even if you're damaging yourself,
Mm,
that basically means I don't care about you.
yes.
So again, when they say freedom of speech in this country, all they're saying is you are free to say and do what you like in areas and arenas that affects you and your peoples and whatnot, because I don't care about you.
Mm, mm,
Whereas in Islam, and when I say Islam, I don't mean Islamic State, because how Muslims implement and what Islam is not always the same. But in Islam comes with the premise that Islam does care about mankind. It does want good for mankind.
mm,
Allah wants ease for mankind. Allah wants ease for you, not
mm.
difficulty. So because there is an intent of good for every individual,
Maintaining that
that
good. Yeah.
necessitates that your actions will be limited. The
Mm,
same way we limit our children. Why is it? I mean, just think about it. Again,
mm,
this is something even non-Muslims would agree. Why did non-Muslims even limit their children from what they want to do? It's not even realistically and objectively hypocritical to limit a child from functioning and moving around, but not limiting an adult when the
yes.
same harms exist at every age.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Why is it when we reach the age of 18, that seems to be a reason to abuse yourself, abuse other people, harm yourself, take
Because
drugs,
fundamentally they don't
alcohol.
care.
Mm,
Fundamentally, bro, they don't care. There's two things. Number one, they don't care, and number two, they just don't want to be don't want to be told what to do. That's another thing as well. So that's another thing that we have to acknowledge, which is again another thing
mm,
which I feel Muslims, myself included, have been infected with. This idea of not being told what to do. We've become rebellious people, Muslims in the West, because we are amongst rebellious people. So when we go to Muslim countries, for example, where they have a lot of rules, maybe some of them nonsensical, but they are still nonetheless rules. We don't why do I have to follow these stupid rules? We found ourselves rebellious. Again, I say this acknowledging my own flaws in this regards.
Yes.
This rebellion does exist, and because they are rebellious people. I mean, protest is literally a small mini rebellion.
Yes.
So again, in Islam, we have the idea of obedience to authority, even if it's not something you like doing. We obey those in authority, or be the leader, the judge, the police. We obey them in what they tell us to do because they're an authority, even if it's not what we want to do, as long as it's not against Islam. So we have this idea of obedience and compliance, which is, not necessarily always the same across the board. But anyway, I'm just saying that we need to be careful what we adopt as ideologies and ideals from Western lands. We may be able to make istiglal of it. We may be able to use the rules that they've given us for our benefit.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that that we start adopting these rules. And I'll give one last example. And this is something, again, but these examples I'm giving, I'm not making up, by the way. These are things I've come across in my life from people face to face. How many people have absolute disdain and disgust for polygamy, and they actually use as their evidence that it's illegal? So they've actually adopted and internalized the illegality of polygamy in the West as a justification why it's wrong. I've heard it before. You could tell. I don't care what anyone tells. They can put in the comments below that Mom is making it up and he's chatting.
Yeah.
No, I've heard more than one person justify their disdain for polygamy purely because it's, and use as the evidence that it's illegal. So they've internalized the law of the land, and that's one of the reasons why. And I always hint every time we have a discussion why hijrah is so important, because when you live in an environment just like the hadith of the blacksmith, when you live in an environment of blacksmiths, even if your clothes don't get burnt by the ambers, you at least leave with a stink from the smoke.
Yes.
And bro, we all have that stink. We all have that stink. We all have the stink.
Question is, it goes back to the Muslim mindset that no matter where he is, he lives Islam, and what we're saying is that even though we live in the West and this is our country, British Muslims, we still walk around with the Quran and the Sunnah that we're trying to live the Sharia in our own personal lives, and that should make us think, well, okay, if this would be the situation in an Islamic country, then I respect the fact that if you Christians or secularists want to ban mosques, for example, because you believe secularism is the ultimate truth, and they don't want to allow Islam to spread in a secular country because they believe secularism is the ultimate truth, Muslims should then eat humble pie, because if we was in a Sharia country, we believe Islam is the ultimate truth, so we wouldn't allow secularism to spread. Should we then, in that kind of scenario, eat humble pie and say, all right, I understand where you're coming from, and just get on with it and not complain?
No, I'm not saying that, because the idea of my point is that use the tools that are available to you while acknowledging that maybe these tools aren't necessarily something we would apply elsewhere. That's what it is. So if you're in a secular country, then what I would suggest is that you use the tools or the fact that they are secular to say, well, you can't ban masajid because you're supposed to be, irreligious.
Yes.
To ban a mosque is a very religious thing to do. That's not a very religious thing. Whereas, for example, I don't think Muslims would. Here's an example. Here's a better example, because I think the secular example is a bad example, because by their very nature, it doesn't make sense. They're contradictory, and this is why we will say you're contradictory, and we point the fingers and this doesn't make sense. But in the Vatican, if the Pope said you can't build no mosque in the Vatican, everyone would understand that.
Yes, you're not going to argue.
We'll get that.
Yes.
I mean, you could argue, But it's not like we don't understand. I mean, that's literally the heart of Catholicism. That's like literally their
Yes.
asl, their core, and they don't want to have mosques and temples and stuff in their core. I mean, I understand
Yes.
that. I mean, it's not like I don't. It's not like I would.
Should you go there and complain? Should we go there and say this is not right?
No, definitely. If you, like I said, if you go there and
Mm,
say, we should have the right to do something, by all means, do that.
yes.
But don't internalize that. That's something which is
Your haq.
inherently the haq across the board. It's only the haq because it's only the
Mm,
haq irrespective of Islam because of Islam. Not
yes.
that. Not that meaning. Let me try and get to
Mm,
what I'm getting to. Meaning,
mm,
if you went to the Vatican
mm,
and said, we believe Muslims should have the rights to build mosques in the Vatican. And by the way, for those who are unaware, the Vatican City is a separate state from Italy.
with,
We're not talking about
yeah,
building masajid in Italy. There's a
yes.
Vatican state which is actually, it has its own laws, has its own system that is ruled by the Church of things. So that's for those who don't understand the context.
Yes.
So if you went to the Vatican, said to the Pope, whoever his name is, we feel that we should have mosques built in your land because there are Muslims
Mm,
who live in this city and blah
mm,
blah 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 blah.
mm,
And he turns to us and says, "Okay, I would allow it if I can build a church in Mecca."
mm. Checkmate. Mm.
Then we should be able to say, "Well, no, because in our religion that's not allowed.
Yes.
But in your religion, if you can show us in your books where that's not allowed in text that you can't build masajid in your place, I
Yes.
mean, fair enough. But I'm just saying, according to your religion and your rules, it should,
Mm.
in theory, be okay. But according to our rules, it's not okay by text, by scripture. That would
Yes.
be the only answer you can give beyond saying, okay, fair enough, and meeting ended, and I go home. I mean,
Yeah.
what else? I'm just saying
Mm.
that if they said no, we would understand because it's a religious state, a
Yes.
state built on a religion, and they're not allowed the propagation of other religions in that state.
In that state. Got you.
Likewise, Islam fundamentally, the borders or the framework or the social contract in Islamic state or an Islamic country is based on religion. I just had to cover that yesterday when we actually completed our 4-week course in fiqh yesterday.
Oh,
Finished the book of jihad. So we had an issue of the book Ahl al-Dhimma, or the people of the book who live in Muslim lands. So building churches and synagogues in Muslim land. Sorry, my mistake. Going back a step. So what I was saying, that the social contract whereby citizens are judged and where they are put in certain frameworks is on religious lines. In the West, it's on lines of citizenship, where you are born. So if you're born in the UK, you have a citizen, you're a British citizen, then we have this category. And if you're immigrant, or they have different categories,
different categories,
but it's not based on religion. In Islam, the lines are religious.
Yes.
So you have the Muslimin on one side and they have their rules, and you have Ahlul Kitab on the other side and they have their rules. It's not that, oh, because you're born in the country, you're on this category, and you're not born in the country. No. If you could be born somewhere else, you can be born in another country. Fact is, you're Muslim, you're on this side. And you can be born in the country. The fact you are Christian or Jew, you're on the other side. So some religious lines. So because it's a religious state, these concerns are there. Whereas in a secular state, where the borders and the lines are not religious, yes, citizenship, then therefore they can't make such claims. So again, we're just using the framework that exists, without necessarily acknowledging the truth of that nature. And I think, again, just to conclude on that point about how this is not unusual, every single lawyer I have spoken to, every single accountant I've spoken to, all unanimously agree that some of the laws that they are rallying for, that they are using, they don't agree with, it don't make sense.
Yes.
But they're just using the laws that are there to achieve the goals they want. So it's not like I'm asking anyone to do anything unusual. Every lawyer does that. Don't believe for one second that lawyers are fully drinking the Kool-Aid of the legal system. No, they all agree that, oh, this doesn't make sense. Oh, this is stupid. But it's the precedence here. That's the law. That's system here. It is what it is. They just use the tools that are given to get the aims that they want to achieve, and that's the end of it. So likewise, Muslims should do the same. They have a legal system, and that's. I mean, another one example. Just one final example, and I'll give you
good examples, mashallah.
Example of using the rules that are there that makes no sense, and we know it doesn't make sense, but we use the rules that are there. I think my wife got a parking ticket.
Yes.
Parked on a yellow line, and it was a full on contravening law. I mean, hands up. It was wrong.
Yes.
But the guy put on the parking ticket, the wrong color of the car. So according you're on mute, by the way. So according to the law, that ticket is null and void. So we said my colors of the car is silver, and they put some blue thing.
Yeah.
So this ticket is null and void. And they said, yeah, null and void.
Good.
They had pictures of the car parked there, brother. The car
Yeah.
was confirmed to be there. But
Yes.
according to their system, the ticket is invalid because they wrote down wrong details.
Mm.
So that's an example of something that makes no sense. It's stupid because I was proven to be there.
Yes.
But the law states this is how it is, and we go by the law. We use what's there without necessarily internalizing that it's the truth.
Yes.
Because the truth would be to say, pay the ticket because you parked where you should be parking.
Yeah.
The law said you can't.
Yeah.
Or another one, they have same the issue the zigzag on the crossings, the yellow zigzag, you can't
Junction.
stop in it.
Yeah.
Junction. If the rule is if the square box doesn't touch 3 of the 4 corners,
Yeah.
that box is null and void. So there was actually a box near in Wolfenstall. Same thing. Got a ticket there, but the box never wasn't done properly. So the ticket was null and void. Although it's stupid. I mean, the rules are clear. The reason why it's there is clear. Everything was clear. It was wrong, but because the box
you found the
was
way.
drawn wrong, we got out of it. So that's an example. Rules don't have to. You don't have to internalize a rule to follow the rule.
Yes. What came to my mind is individuals who work at a certain level in society, Muslims. They've kind of hit this ceiling where the high profile and there's pressure to conform to maybe, I don't know, political structures, social structures, and they find that there's a bit of a compromise that they have to make. As I said, we just spoke about walking down the street with LGBT and other minorities to support the minority agenda. Do they have a choice? And do you think, just in summarizing, is it contradictory? Should we not? There's no need to go to that ceiling. There's no benefit in trying to, I don't know, get Muslims into parliament or get Muslims into the Senate. No, if the system is secular, there's no point moving into that area because there's not going to be any benefit for you. Do you get what I'm saying? Or you're going to be living a contradictory life. Just allow it. Just work at a certain level. And there's no need to overstep that boundary because you're going to be living a contradictory life. If you know Islam says this, there's no need to go over that line. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, and this is where personally I think politics is one of those things where people make arguments that we need to be involved in politics and we need to do this, we need to do that, and
yes,
I don't know about the need, but I understand why they think they need to do something. But the problem with politics is that, again, as you're rallying for certain things, basically we're saying for the whole discussion, as you're trying to achieve certain goals, you may be required as part of the process to do things that are contrary to Islam.
Yes.
Like Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan has gone to a Hindu temple and partaked in the Hindu worship, pouring or bowing or doing this thing towards the idol and pouring water on the idol and whatnot. As part of this whole diversity and I guess
engagement
with all different communities and whatnot. He's gone on many times. He's gone on rallies with the LGBT community and promoted the LGBT agenda again as part of the ideology of encompassing other people and other minorities and the rest of it. So 2 acts to achieve a goal we benefit from, but by doing so in an un-Islamic, even kufri way of doing so. So you see that uncanny valley. So if someone came to me and said, "Brother, I want to go into politics," I would say, "Don't."
Yes.
Because you're gonna either have to be compelled to do what they have done, or you may even eventually believe it's right to do what they have done, which is even worse.
But don't you think that as an individual, okay, just say he's a mayor, someone's a mayor, Muslim mayor, and obviously you see, like, if a president goes to Israel, he's got to go to the Wailing Wall, put the skull cap on, and he's got to show. I don't know why you have to, but
that is the key point there, bro. Why do you even have to? But
why do you like? This is the point. That okay, the mayor represents Londoners of the many different religions and ethnicities. why aren't you allowed to say, okay, I'll come visit your temple to say hi, but why do you have to participate in a religious ceremony? Do you get what I'm saying? Why must you do that? Um,
It's because ideologically they feel they need to prove a point that
yeah,
so they want to prove a point that they have no bigotry in themselves. They're not against the other. And look,
yes,
see, I'm not against Hindus. I'm not against LGBT. Look, I'm on the parade as well like these guys. Look, I'm rallying for them like these guys because inherently
mm,
they believe that such a thing is
mm-hmm.
wrong. You see, they have it internalized. They believe they're actually saying, "No, I'm not going on a paid pride. You must be mad."
Yes,
That's such a reaction
is
is
wrong.
wrong. And to
Mm,
prove that, they do the complete opposite. So you see how they've actually internalized,
got you.
at least from the apparent, they've internalized what they're promoting. So they're actually drinking the Kool-Aid now. Now they're
Yes,
drinking wholeheartedly the Kool-Aid that they've got it in themselves.
yes.
And how can a Muslim ask you in the name of Allah,
Mm,
ask you in the name of Allah, how can a Muslim in the clean heart go to a temple, face towards an idol, put their hands together and pray with the bindi on their head and come out that synagogue right feeling like an utter kafir?
yeah, dirty. Like just
What
you couldn't do it.
premise, what avenue, what level of even the most ignorant jahil Muslim who probably has never prayed in the last
Mm,
10 years
mm,
knows not to bow down to an idol. So the fact
mm,
that one did that shows to me an internalization of the belief system. That's something
mm,
what the person believes. And
mm.
this is the end result of the ideology. This is what I'm saying. From the very beginning, I'm saying that you can take advantage of the rules,
Yes.
but don't internalize the rules. Once you internalize the rules, it leads to these things.
Mm. I mean, what
It
comes to
leads
mind,
to
obviously,
madness.
obviously, the system that we live in, there is no ultimate truth. And whether you go to a Hindu temple or a Jewish synagogue or a mosque or, well, let's leave that to the side, but any other um issue or way of life, you can represent that, because from a secular angle, there's no ultimate truth. You're just doing something. You're just doing anything just to keep everybody happy. But if you do have a truth, then you're gonna have to say, well, no, I can't do that. And this is what
Well,
I
I
think
mean,
they don't want. They don't in their system. They don't want anyone to have an ultimate truth, because that means you're gonna have to discriminate against someone somewhere.
I think the secular ideology
Mm,
is inherently contradictory in the sense of how the ideology mixed with how they implement it, because the ideology is irreligious, but the
yes,
way they implement it, at least
is
to some
religious.
level, is religious. So,
Mm,
like you just pointed out there, the idea of morality or right and wrong, according to an irreligious person, there is no such thing as right and wrong, realistically. But the
yes,
fact you have a legal system indicates there is such a thing as right and wrong. So it's
yes.
inherently contradictory. And
There
this
are
is what I'm
moral
saying. People have to
judgments.
recognize. People have to recognize that the system is contradictory. That is
Mm,
how the system is. I mean, you can't really avoid it.
yes.
So don't expect too much from it. Try and get some of the rights you can
Mm,
wherever possible. So, for example, here's an example of the flip side where you could positively work towards something. Like they always get this example. Like, imagine you have to rally with not I don't mean rally physically, but somehow, however you do it, we have to
yes.
rally and work with the Jews and the Christians for the right to slaughter. Maybe not so much
Yes.
Christians, but with the Jews, the right to slaughter animals or have
Mm,
halal or kosher.
yes.
That'd be an example of working with a Jew to
Yes.
achieve a goal that the Jews and Muslims both have, without
Mm,
the need to go and worship at a synagogue or allow a
yes.
Jew to come and worship at the masjid. You can do these things without joining in their kufr or substantiating their kufr
Mm,
or rallying that their kufr is true. And you don't have to do
yes.
all this other
Okay. So,
stuff. You can just
what
achieve the goal.
so there's like a stop the war campaign. There's a war
Yep,
against, so
yep.
whatever.
Like that
Uh,
million that million man march against Iraq. That was an
y-
example of. That's
Yes.
actually a good example, actually. So there was that. Although it's actually it's an example of both. So there's an
Yeah.
example where the non-Muslims were rallying and protesting against the war in Iraq,
Mm,
although for different reasons. Listen
yes.
carefully. I mean, I'm sure plenty of them were against the war in Iraq, not because they had any special love for the Iraqis, because
Yes.
there's a waste of resources and the rest of it. I'm sure some had similar in motives as Muslim, but I'm sure others had just that. I mean, I've even heard it. Why even some of the far right will say why we don't want to involve ourselves with Muslim countries because it's a waste of resources and their own lives and their own soldiers. So different motives,
yes,
but the same goals. So could you support their rally and support their efforts? Of course you can.
yes,
Of course you can. Whilst also again acknowledging the fallacy of their ways, because what happened at Million Man March? Nothing. Did they invade? Yes, they did. Did it change anything? No, it didn't.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, like I said,
that's I mean, just that's probably where that almost Suleiman guy is coming from. But I think obviously went a bit too far. Where obviously he was joining these other minority groups in supporting minorities or whatever. But I think to put himself in that particular situation did not benefit him
my
at
honest
all.
opinion. My honest opinion is just an opinion. I
Mm.
believe Umar Suleiman. He went to the event expecting to distance himself as much as possible from
Yes,
what they do, but just literally walk with them
yes,
and raise your voice and say some speeches against the establishment and
yeah.
do, which is kind of like okay to
Show your
do.
face, kind of thing.
Didn't really expect, show your face. Didn't really expect that they would also want to do religious acts
Like
and
catch him up.
involve him and catch him out.
They
But at the
string him
same
up.
time, now that he's there, now that he was there,
They used
for him
him.
to say no would now mean to turn everyone's attention. I think, wait, are you not with us then? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
He was
kind of
caught. He
reveal
got
the
caught.
secret. Yeah, reveal the secret that he's not really with them, but he's only with them for an agenda. So he kind of like reluctantly, not really want to comply with it, but did it anyway. You
Yes.
can almost see it. Like even that one time when the woman tried to hold his hand,
Yeah.
he just left his hand straight. He didn't like hold her hand and reciprocate. He just held her
Yeah.
hand straight. But at the same time, he didn't say no, don't touch me.
No. Yeah.
So he was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
in that uncanny valley whereby he wanted to, his values was trying to say, I want to work with these people for a goal. I don't
Yes.
want to engage what they're doing, but I'm here now, and I'm
If
at
he
conflict.
moves his hand from her, he's
If
gonna
he
get
moves
it.
his hand, he's gonna be caught out. That
Yeah.
he's not really with them
With
like
them.
that. So he
Yes.
kind of. So that's why I understand. I mean, again, anyway, he was
It's a tricky.
in that
It's
situation.
tricky.
But the problem is, he did it again, and it's not
Mm.
like it's not like if it was the case where he did it, and it came out and
And
said, "No,
learn.
lads, I made a mistake. I messed up. I was in a situation. Things were going on. Things happened very fast.
Yes.
I'm not gonna do it again." But he did it again, and
Got you.
another rally, and another one rally. So it's now we can't make excuses for it. The first time, make excuse, but now it's like 3, 4, 5 times you're doing the same thing over and over again. Now you've seen where you've now placed your ideology and your manhaj, your methodology of
Yes.
trying to work with them, and you put that sanctimount above what you should be doing as a Muslim. You've
Yes.
prioritized your agenda of what you should be doing, and this is what happens when you get involved in these kind of things. You come to a conflict. You come to this dissonance where you have to either contradict your views and values or stop those ways. You can't do both.
Yes.
And often these people end up leaning more and more and more towards contradicting their beliefs. And then again, like I said, I've said it a million times already. And then at some point they turn their sights to the Muslimin with that same rhetoric and throw it towards us. And this is where it becomes even more dangerous. And I think that's wrong.
Are we living a? It's a difficult one. We're gonna round up. We're gonna finish up now. Sheikh. I know it's gone over the hour. What should we expect from our leaders and our imams, to hold the line or try and play the game, if you get what I'm saying? I think Muslims are trying to play the game and it's just not, it's too contradictory. We want people who are just to hold
I
the
mean, me
line.
personally, my view on how to play the game, I think I take a contrarian view that I think as in some people take the politics game. They think that
Yes.
to achieve goals, we take a politics game. So you get involved in politics, we rally, we get signatures, we do this, we do that, we get our voice heard, and blah blah blah. And I'm sure there's a avenue for that. But I think we should play the finance game. As in, if you have financial influence and wealth and ability and mana and quwwah and strength, you can kind of just get the same, achieve the same goals by literally pushing your way forward. Because at the end of the day,
Yes.
governments respond to money. So I think rather than just
or
going
you could
and
say politicians will they want your financial backing or your financial leverage on their side, so they will give you what you want, kind of thing, to get your financial power on their side to support their labor movement or whatever.
I mean, I'm
Or
not
because
sure how much that is the
you
case in the UK because remember,
mm,
UK doesn't have the same lobbying
as the US.
financing thing as America does. It's
Mm,
different. American candidates get paid literally by avenues, whereas and
mm-hmm,
get their campaign gets sponsored. I'm not sure if that works the same in UK, but what
mm,
I'm saying is that if we had Muslims like I mean, look at again. People always seem to use the example as the Jews. If you look at how the Jews, the Orthodox Jews, had a very insular and very pocketed,
mm,
and they don't really seem to really interact with anyone else realistically, not in a
mm.
meaningful manner. But yet they have a lot of say, a lot of strength, a lot of power
Yes.
because financially they're very secure as well as the people. They have a lot
Mm,
of gold shops, a lot of diamond things, a lot of they have a lot of influence. So
mm.
basically, although they are small in number, they are a force that can't be ignored.
Yes.
Muslims are not are less so in the sense of our unity, our ability to come together. We're less in that, and I think if we spent
Yes.
more time looking inwards, developing our structure inwards rather than looking
Mm,
outwards and trying to network with the kuffar, I think we would
mm,
achieve more if we were. I guarantee you,
mm.
if Muslims across the UK all banded together as one massive solid unit, financially, one kalima, their goals were one, and literally everyone was banding together on a real level,
Yes.
things will change overnight. Because not only would it change, they might get worried. What's happening here? Because we're not small number of people, like 4 million
Yeah. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
all coming together. So
Yeah.
especially for all in one area, imagine all in
Mm.
Tower Hamlets.
I was thinking like, yeah, we're 4 million officially, but probably 6 million unofficially, with another 2 million. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's just
Yeah.
again the problem is how would one achieve that? It'd be difficult because every Muslim has their own agenda and all the sectarianism that happens and whatnot. So it's difficult.
Mm.
But I'm just saying that maybe we also need to explore other avenues to achieve our goals as opposed to playing their game,
Yes, I think
their
playing the
political game.
game, it seems that whenever you reach to that level, the word sellout comes out. It's difficult to make excuses or to say, well, he did it because of that wisdom and that hikmah. I think the majority of the kalam is that they just sold out, and that person may have good intention, but after the events and after being caught and set up, it just word comes out that this person is just trying, it's just selling out. It's a
The
difficult
thing is,
thing.
what you just said there, and it's good to end on this one. I think there's a saying, something of the like of how hell is the path to hell is the path to hell is led by good intentions, something like that. I was saying something like that. Good intentions
Yeah.
isn't enough.
Yes. It's not
Good
enough. It's
intentions
not
isn't enough.
enough. Yeah. Sheikh, Jazakallah khair once again, very
Oh yeah,
informative.
alhamdulillah.
It's been a pleasure. And inshallah, we catch you next week on the Muslim Morning Podcast. Jazakallah khair,
Jazakallah
Sheikh.
khair, hayakum Allah.
Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa
Wa alaikum salam wa
rahmatullahi
rahmatullah.
wa barakatuh.